Curiosity killed the cat, and curiosity of substance abuse is killing our children, and families are suffering. Unfortunately, drug abuse is a common household name today. Understanding drug abuse, understanding what drugs are being offered to our children, are one of the top priorities that we have as parents in order to communicate the dangers to them. There was a time when children were educated at school of the different drugs, of the new drugs, of the addiction process, of abuse, of what can and can't happen, and especially of the dangers. Unfortunately, with the way the economy is, drug abuse is not discussed as it once was, especially in the rural communities as we live in. Today, more than ever, we as parents need to understand substance abuse and help with identifying the problem that our children face. As a substance abuse counselor, I'm practicing in the field of behavioral health on a daily basis. I'm often asked by parents and children about different drugs. How do I know if my child is using? How do I know what to look for? How do I identify it? How do I communicate with them? Through extensive counseling and research of substance abuse, I've been able to help answer those questions, help families to understand, help children in identifying what's going on with them. And hopefully today I'll be able to help you. By gaining knowledge and understanding of drugs, we can help prevent future drug abuse problems within our home, helping our children understand the dangers and the possibilities of what they face. Let's begin with the understanding of the most commonly abused drugs amongst juveniles and the effects of each drug. The following definitions are taken from National Institute of Drug Abuse and WebMD off the internet. Both are available for your viewing on any illicit substance questions or prescription drugs you might have. Marijuana. According to the National Institute of Drug Abuse, is the NIDA, in other words, NIDA, is the most common illegal drug used in the United States. It's derived from the cannabis plant. It's crushed. It's a leafy substance crushed with seeds and stem. It's smoked in a rolled cigarette called a joint, a blunt, which is a cigar wrapper. They take out the cigar tobacco and put in the marijuana. Pipes and bongs, also homemade or bought in stores. On the street names include pot, grass, weed, blunts. There are short-term effects that don't last very long of marijuana. Difficulty in thinking, problems with memory and learning, loss of coordination, distorted perception. And there are also long-term effects, which include the affected areas of the brain that play a major role in stress, motivation, and the reward system our body gives us. Marijuana is absorbed in our fat cells and can last up to 30 days after the last use. It has a very distinctive odor. The second most common amongst juveniles today is spice. Spice is a synthetic drug, man-made. It resembles marijuana. However, spice is not made of any plants. It is completely synthetic. It is sold in packages with names like K2, fake weed, Yucatan fires, skunk, moon rocks. Very important that we understand on the packages it's labeled not for human consumption. Spice was originated for test on lab rats for medical purposes. However, spice was never tested on human beings, and they have no proof of what it can and can't do. Some of the results that have been seen are hallucination, rapid heartbeat, confusion, irritation. Spice is very addictive, and schizophrenic tendencies may come out and may not be reversed. When burned and smoked, spice smells like burnt rubber, as if you were burning a tire. Pharmaceuticals. The most common pharmaceuticals or pills amongst juveniles today is Vicodin and Adderall. Vicodin being and giving a calming effect. However, one important factor about Vicodin, it is an opiate and it works on our respiratory system. It calms us down. Although the user may feel fine, our breathing, our heartbeat, everything is lowering. It may be forgotten how many is taken, more than one is taken, and what happens is the user goes to sleep and doesn't wake up. Adderall is the second. It's a stimulant. It's a go fast. And that's why children and juveniles use it, because it speeds them up, it gives them energy. Both drugs are found in medicine cabinets of parents, grandparents, friends. I buy this sold in schools today. The dangers, you can overdose easily, as I explained, with the opiates. Go to sleep and not wake up. Can cause death or permanent damage to the body. It can be very easily overdosed. And also it causes damage to the liver and internal organs if abused for a long period of time. The last drug I want to talk to you about today is alcohol. Alcohol is very common amongst our youth. Legal and found in most households, especially abused by teenagers. Alcohol kills more young drivers than any other substance or drug out there. It can cause brain and liver damage to the point of death. One of the things I want to bring to your attention about alcohol is a lot of youth, juveniles, are allergic to it or can drink so much they can actually drown in their own vomit. They can drown in their own secretions of their body. Again, permanent brain damage, permanent liver damage, permanent internal organ damage can be derived from alcohol use and abuse. Each of the illicit substances named are very common amongst our children. Now let's look at some statistics. Over the past year, this is the use of various drugs. And what we have done is we have talked about marijuana, spice, Vicodin, and Adderall. You can see Adderall and Vicodin, which are the pharmaceuticals, are right around 10–15%. Synthetic marijuana, right around 20%. But marijuana is all the way to 40% and rising every year. Marijuana used by 12th graders, which is the highest. You can see in 1990, it was under 10%. It dropped in 95, back up in 2000, up in 2005, and here we are 2010 and 2011, and climbing. There was a time where the illicit substance abuse amongst 12th graders was low. Today, it is climbing higher. Let's talk about how we identify drug abuse and use within our homes. A few things, according to the American Council for Drug Education, American Council for Drug Education, to look for: reddened eyes, watery eyes, swollen, dilated pupils, big or small, loss of appetite, gain of appetite, inability to sleep, they stay up all night long, they have a running nose, hacking cough, shaking hands, and depression also follows prolonged drug abuse. Prevention. Prevention of drug abuse within our homes with our children is communication. We must keep those lines of communication always open with our kids. We need to talk to our kids about drugs. We need to talk to them about the effects, the dangers, about the drugs that they're being offered at school. Who's doing what? Become involved in their lives. Involve your children in extracurricular activities. When you discipline your children, stick to it. It's needed. Children need discipline. If you suspect something is going on, ask them. Let them know you know. Very important. If your child appears depressed, talk to them, communicate. Maybe they just had a bad day at school. Communication, guys, is so important. You monitor their friends, where they go, what they do. Always very important. We've discussed the most common types of drugs today: marijuana, spice, pills, and alcohol. We've reviewed each chemical and what happens when you smoke it or ingest it, how to identify it. We've talked about prevention, communication, and how to communicate with our children and keeping those lines of communication open. The last thing I would like to share with you today is some local phone numbers in our area. If you suspect there is a problem within your home, or your child is depressed, or you just need someone to talk to, we have WestCare, Mojave Mental Health, Southwest Behavioral, Teen NAAA, which is a 12-step program, Teen Al-Anon, and NASCARE. All are here to help us, parents, and our juveniles. In conclusion, today we've discussed the most common drugs amongst juveniles, giving knowledge and understanding of each. We have looked at statistics and found that drug abuse is growing, especially amongst 12th graders. We have found that communication, we've discussed communication and found that it's very important to keep those lines of communication open with our children and always talk to them and keep them busy. Thank you.